Sense I've been getting, and you heard from Peter Stevenson and Keith Downey there, the two men who know better than anybody, the tone that they're giving suspects that Manchester United are winning this race. And the impression I get from the people I've been speaking to is that Sesko has preferred a move to Old Trafford all the way along. And that from RB Leipzig's point of view, they've been waiting for Manchester United to reach the level of bid that Newcastle have made. They haven't quite done it yet. They're still some distance off it, 5-10 million euros, depending on the exact figures. But it's pretty clear that he would rather go to Old Trafford, and I think that leaves Newcastle in a very, very difficult position. Even though they can offer Champions League football, even though they finished so much higher, they finished 5th compared with Manchester United's 15th last season. We know that Manchester United have been in turmoil. Newcastle have been a very steady ship under Eddie Howe. They've been consistently improving, and yet that history of one of the world's biggest football clubs, I think, is probably going to tell in the end.
Is that it? Is that about what's gone before then? Because it doesn't make sense that Newcastle can offer Champions League football while Manchester United were, flirting with relegation last season, and yet they have the edge, apparently.
Maybe an everlasting thanks to Sir Alex Ferguson, possibly, because they are still Manchester United at the end of the day. But speaking to, Brian Mbeumo, he didn't bother him about no European football. Does Champions League matter as much as people let on sometimes? A lot of the time it's a financial package, and it is playing for Manchester United. But look, it's not all over for Newcastle United at all, who, let's just say, since the takeover, have recruited ever so well. But, as Rob says, it does look as if now he is leaning towards Manchester United. But also got to mention the recruitment director, Christopher Favell, who was at Leipzig, who was speaking so highly about Sesko. I wonder if that's playing a key role in this as well. Not just Ruben Amorim, but Manchester United collectively.
But he's untried, untested, really, isn't he? And he's raw, clearly. What do you make of the sort of sums being spoken about forwards this summer?
This is absolutely fascinating, because I haven't known a transfer window like this one, where we've seen so many world-class strikers on the market, on the move, many of them coming to the Premier League. Let's show you some of the stats that we've been looking at, because I think this speaks absolute volumes. You can see some of the summer signings there and just how much we're talking about. There's a star, of course, next to Benjamin Sesko, because that's not completed yet. But you can see that Hugo Ekitike is at the top of that one at £79 million. Gyökeres, 63.5. Mateus Cunha, not a striker, he's a forward. Same with João Pedro, you'd say there. Look at the absolute bargain for Chelsea at the bottom, Liam Delap there with a £30 million release clause. I think it's right that you put him in this sort of category, this sort of company. I think he could be that good. But, Mike, what I think is fascinating is, where do you get the value here with a striker? Do you get the value for somebody who is experienced, like Gyökeres, 27 years old, been there and done it, scored 92 goals in 103 games for Sporting?
Yeah, in which league, though?
In the Portuguese Premier League, yeah. But he's been there and done it. He's 27. He's a proven goal scorer. Arsenal, of course, were looking at Benjamin Sesko. They were monitoring for more than a year, and they decided no. They've gone for Gyökeres instead. They had the ace trump, the trump card here. They decided Gyökeres. They wanted somebody ready-made to go straight into their side, try and help them win Premier League titles, Champions League. They didn't have time to wait around for maybe 2 years for Benjamin Sesko at 22 to prove what he can do in the Premier League and become that sort of player. Is that where you get the value, experience and goals? Or is it a younger player like Sesko with incredible promise who has got years ahead of him and may grow into that Manchester United side? Remember, Gyökeres has signed a 5-year contract at Arsenal. He will be 32 when that comes to an end. Arsenal have got no resale on him after that. He's worth virtually nothing. Look at Heung-min Son, who we're going to talk to about at Spurs shortly. £15 million, maybe $20 million that Spurs are getting for him. That's a snip for a player of his quality, but he's in the last stages of his career. So Arsenal can afford to write that off because they've got no resale. It doesn't matter. They need a player ready now. Manchester United, Newcastle perhaps don't have that luxury, which is why Sesko is more attractive to them. But I think how you look at that striker bingo is going to be fascinating. We know that every single football fan in this country is doing what we're doing now. They're looking at that list of strikers and going, right, who's got the best player? Who's got the best deal? Who's going to be the best in 2 years' time? It's a fascinating debate, and it's going to go on between Newcastle and Manchester United.
Where's the value then in this list?
Well, if we've got the opportunity to see his record at Leipzig over the last couple of seasons, look, we could debate all day long what's the bigger and better league, Bundesliga or the Portuguese league. I love watching the Bundesliga a bit. Then you've got a lot of German experts. I was listening to Kevin Hatchard earlier. He said the real winners could actually be Leipzig, because they're getting a lot of money for a very good player, but as Rob's mentioned, a 22-year-old. The Premier League is tough. But I'll go back to Christopher Vaveld at Manchester United. He said in the Bundesliga website, extremely quick, great jump, strong in the air, and despite his height, he's very mobile and technically strong. So maybe paying a little bit over the odds.
A move Leipzig as to whether they've accepted Newcastle's 80 and not the higher one from Newcastle United that was made last night. So it's all becoming a bit of a confusing situation, but I think internally here in Newcastle they were given some encouragement in the last 24 hours that the player would be up for moving to Newcastle, but there was also that concern that perhaps that was just to smoke out the formality from Manchester United to stoke out
on what they wanted to pay to try and get Sesko.
I think they probably already have, Julia, if I'm honest with you. I mean, that's a lot of money as far as Newcastle United are concerned. Remember, their club record was the 58 plus 5, 63 million total that they paid for Alexander Isak 3 years ago. So this offer is, look, they're throwing everything at it. They're making it clear to Sesko they want him here.